Hey guys, I'm gonna do an 870 teardown here for you. This is just a standard 870. I was gonna say too, before I start, if you guys got any videos you want me to do, I can see if I can accommodate that. Before I moved, I was a part-time gunsmith in a fairly busy gunsmith shop, so every time I go back home every few months or so, I can hopefully usually got quite a bit of stuff going on, so I can see if I can get some of that recorded for you. And they do, or he does pretty much everything. We've done rifles, shotguns, pistols, whatever. So if you got something, let me know. Shoot me an email. So these things are pretty simple. If you don't have one, you probably got one yourself. First thing, check this empty. It's empty. And then I just leave it open like that. Tear down screw. Pull the cap off. Barrel comes off. And this forearm should just slide right out. And I like to leave them up like that, because then your bolt carrier group comes out, and then you can kind of see how it sits in there. You can pull that off, because if you look, oops, sorry, I bumped the camera. There's certain grooves on each side, and that corresponds with the grooves on this carrier plate, which comes apart. So here, I'll show you this quick, if I get it on there the right way. I'm having issues with it right now. Okay, so there we go. So it only fits on there one way. So if you're worried about getting it back together, it's pretty easy to get back together. And then of course, you know, forearm up front, and this bolt just sits on there. So that's that. And then if you want to take the trigger out, which you very well can do. Like I said, I just moved, so I have very limited supply of tools out. Most of my stuff's packed away still. But I do have a little awl. It's just a little scribing awl. And so the nice thing about these 870 pins is there's little indents on each pin. So, and they're usually pretty simple if you don't stab yourself, as I lie and say it's simple. Sometimes they come out easier one way than the other. So there, pop both of those out. And that comes right out. And then, so that's pretty much all you need to do to like strip it down. Hopefully you can see that, but if you want to clean this guy a little bit more, this is the hammer right here, right in the middle. You can just push on that, make sure your safety's off, pull the trigger, and that'll pop that guy up. So just be sure that when you put, and then you can get in there and clean with like a Q-tip or whatever if you want to soak it in some solution and clean it all up. You can take these apart further, but there's really no need to. You can get pretty much everything inside there that you need to get. And then just when you want to put it back in, you just pull the hammer back and it'll click back in place. So, one more thing, these, if you look inside your receiver here, you see this, I'll grab my little pointer thingy. You can see this, that's the the ejector in there. Sometimes those will break, and if that ever breaks, you need some special tools to fix it. There's a little rivet right there. If you look on the front of your extractor, you probably can't see it in my video very well, but there's a little thing up there. And then there is also, I've replaced several of these, but if you look hard on the outside of your receiver, and this is a matte finish, so there's a little circle there and a circle there. I can't remember if one or I think both of them might have to be drilled out, and then that extractor comes out, and then you get the new extractor in, and then you got some special tools that you got to rivet it in, and then you got to sand these flush, and you either got to re-blast them or get them really close. If it's gloss blued, you got to get them really close, and it's always a pain in the ass to replace those, because unless you're refinishing the whole gun, it's kind of tough to match them up. But let me grab one more thing. One more thing when you're taking these apart and cleaning them, which most people don't mention on their videos, is the choke tube. Just in the end of your barrel here. I don't have a wrench handy. I got one over here, but I'm not going to grab it. Anyways, when you're cleaning your shotgun, take your choke tube out and clean that thing up. I mean, I've done quite a few of these where, you know, somebody has this shotgun for 20 years and they're out duck hunting with it and shooting and cleaning, and they think they get a good job cleaning it, and then they never pull their choke tube out. And sometimes that choke tube is hard to get out, and I've had a few of them get stuck. So just pull those things out, clean them. They're usually full of soot and hopefully not full of rust. Clean them up and then put a little light coat of oil on them, stick them back in, and you're good to go. We can throw this thing back together quick. It's just the reverse operation of how it went in, and that little I don't know, that's the stop for the forearm. That's kind of gotta get out of the way. Stick your pin back in there, and they usually go in by hand. And if they don't go in by hand, you're either not lined up or you're on one of the detents. So here we go. That's just the back side of my wood side of that. So, and then again, our forearm here. If you got your bolt back together, it's pretty simple. You just stick it in there. And then here's the tricky part about putting these things back together. So you kind of, here's how I do it. I balance it on there, slide it in, and then you can slide it into about there. And then there's two little detent springs on the inside which lock these arms out. So what you got to do is you got to reach up inside the magazine well and with your fingers and push them out, and then it's like a four-handed operation. Squeeze those in and then you pull the thing back. So usually what I do is I just reach in there, push them both back, tip it up, give it a little bonk on the knee, and then it goes right in. And then you can open it back up. And then you put your barrel back on, simple, and then your screw back on. One thing I didn't mention is if you want to pull this magazine tube spring out, you can. If you got a wrench with your gun, or even a screwdriver. Let's see if I got one here. Here's a screwdriver. It's not quite big enough, but you just push in, turn it 90 degrees, pull it out. And most people know how to do that, because if you need a plug in your gun, that's what you got to do to redo it. So these things are super simple to take apart, clean, and maintain. Once you do it once, you can pretty much become an expert at it. So there you go, tearing apart and putting back together a Remington 870.